Married couples in anime don't get enough love. Everyone's obsessed with the confession episode, but nobody talks about what happens after the ring goes on. Here are the 10 best romance anime where the main character already has a wife. Let's go.
Tokuse banana cocktail でございます。
お酒はまだ。
大丈夫。ノンアルコールカクテルだから。ちーちゃん、召し上がれ。
Alrighty, we're kicking things off with a 3-minute short about Chisato, a buttoned-up office manager who acts totally proper until she gets home. Her husband, Sora's a bartender, and every night he mixes her something new. Plum split, Irish coffee, you name it. And watches her turn into the cutest, giggliest drunk you've ever seen.
どうしたのちーちゃん。
だって会社で抱っこされて帰りにおんぶされてなんかキュンってきちゃったんだもん。
Yeah, I know. This whole show follows the same premise. Wife comes home, wife gets drunk, husband prepares a cocktail. But Chi-chan's drunk personality is stupidly endearing. The two have a nice husband-wife dynamic that puts K-drama to shame. The settings and everything is cozy, and you get to know about cocktails. So if your goal is to be a drunk, well, there you go. There's all the motivation you need.
そうか。よくわかった。この堅物が。
Number 9's got a setup you've seen 1,000 times. Conquering King marries Rain Princess, except it doesn't play out how you think. Livius took over the whole world in 3 years, and everyone says he's a monster, so when Nike shows up ready to marry him out of duty, she's bracing for the worst. Instead, he throws her in a cell first, she gets angry, and soon she realizes the bratty king has a troubled past. You know why I like this? It subverts the entire king and princess fall in love trope hard. Instead of the princess simping for the king or the king simping for his future bride, both of them start as bitter enemies. This is a shoujo anime, but somehow Studio Pierrot did this. Yes, the same studio behind Naruto and Bleach. So if you want a nice enemies to lovers story about marriage, there you go.
言えねえ。飛行服の下に。
和服ってふつつかものですが何卒よろしくお願いいたします。
Let's go back in time, back to when you were just a baby. We are in the year 2004, and back then, one anime nailed the whole forced to marry trope. Ryu's already got his hands full raising his little sister after their parents died, and then the government shows up and tells him he's part of a forced marriage program to fix Japan's birth rate. His new fiancée, Shizuka, moves in with a squad of bodyguards and zero hesitation about playing wife, while Ryo wants absolutely none of it.
りょう様はテレ屋さんではなく不言実行タイプだったのですね。でもいきなりでは心の準備というものが。
This has the same chaos-driven comedy shows like Love Hina or My Bride is a Mermaid had. And you know what? That's the exact type of comedy a show like this needs. Now, that's the good part. The bad part is how this is based on a visual novel. You know that means soon other girls come in. Best girl, Emi Ho, gets the spotlight and becomes the real MVP, and the 13 episodes breeze past as a harem.
新婚旅行行くのばあさま。
Don't forget about Jodi's kids. Shozu and Ine have been married almost 60 years, tending their apple orchard together, when one of their trees drops a literal golden apple. They eat it, and the next morning they wake up young again, like back in their 20s young. Except they're still the old married couple underneath, just now able to do all the stuff they never got to do. Sports festivals, video games, all of it.
どうしたじいさま。
元に戻ってしまった。
I know some people say the show didn't execute its premise well enough, but the premise alone can do the heavy lifting. Come on, tell me one anime about an old couple being young again. And the entire show has some wholesome family comedy about two old people trying to learn modern technology. And you know the funniest thing? This was adapted from a Twitter web manga. Wow, Twitter actually contributing something useful to society.
ついてた。ああ。
You want a show that embraces its harem aspect and, decides to sleep with it? Well, this is one of those shows. Haruto follows his childhood friend Hime through a portal right into her own wedding, which gets attacked by a monster mid-ceremony. Hime slaps ring on his finger to save his own life, and boom! Haruto's married with light powers and a new title, Ring King. Turns out, to actually use those powers, he's got to marry 4 more princesses and collect their rings too.
佐藤はかっこ悪いままでいいんだよ。いいの。
Now, the waifus become Infinity Stones plot aside, this actually delivered what it promised. Fan service, more fan service, harem, more fan service, and action. If that's what you want, well, this gives plenty of it. Everything from the character designs to the plot is done for visual appeal. But if you strip it all off, well, there isn't much because the anime kinda softened the manga's more darker moments. And what do you know, we even got a season 2.
私、そういうの全くわからないんだけどさ、面白いの？
面白い。
真白さんは俺の嫁！
お前の嫁は私だろ！
5's another quick one, 3 minutes an episode, and it's about a married couple as married couple romance gets. Hajime's a total shut-in otaku running a blog from home, and Karuko's a office lady wife who happens to turn into a chaotic drunk. On paper, they shouldn't work, but in truth, they're the best anime couple of all time.
働きたくないでござる！絶対に働きたくないでござる！
生活どうするんだよ。こういうのリビングに置くなよ。
This is one of the few shows in this list that deals with the actual marriage problems, and the 2 characters are treated as adults. Yes, I know a guy running an otaku blog can't be considered as an adult, but the show flips it upside down. And you know what? It does all of this with 3 minutes per episode. And the writers also treat Karu as a flawed person instead of some waifu material. So if you want a realistic writing, give this one a go.
お前、先に食べてみろ。食べられないのか？毒でも持ったか？わかりやすいことだ。
This one's got Cinderella energy dialed way up. Mio's got treated like a servant by her own family after her mom died, so when she's married off to Kyoka, this cold, powerful clan head who's dumped every fiancé before her, she's expecting the worst. Instead, he actually treats her right, and Mio starts learning what it feels like to be cared for, maybe for the first time in her life.
謝るな。
いつぶりだろう。誰かに褒められたのなんて。誰かに認められたのなんて。
Toss in a supernatural power system running beneath the whole Taisho era setting, and you've got a gorgeous-looking slow burn healing romance. It's got some gorgeous and fluid animation with a musical score done by the same composer as Violet Evergarden. It's a very smart use of symbolism too. And there's even action. In fact, the second half focuses a lot on action.
ユズの手に口をつけるなんて。
美味しいですよ。
This takes us to the 1920s Japan for Tamahiko, a guy who's basically given up on life after a car accident cost him his mom and the use of his hand. Then one snowy night, Yuzuki shows up at his door, sold into marriage by her family to pay off a debt. She's kind, hardworking, and determined to take care of him whether he wants it or not, and slowly, obviously, that starts making our depressed boy happy.
楽しかったですか？
ああ。
This is that rainbow through the gloom kind of show. It deals with depression and trauma and then switches things to a wholesome angle when Yuzuki shows up. I mean, literally, look at it. The show starts black and white. That should be enough symbolism for you. Besides, I love the 1920s Taisho setting and the slow burn romance. Yuzuki also proves she's the best girl in every episode.
うちらどこかで線に会いましたか？
会うたで。あんたは覚えとらんか。
すみません。うちはただでさえぼーっとしとるもんで。
昔からそがいなかった。
We are in for a movie, and this time it's a bit more realistic. Suzu's a dreamy artist girl from the Horishima countryside who marries a guy she barely knows and moves into his family's house in the naval town of Kure. It's World War II Japan, so you already know where this is heading. But the film spends so much time on the small, sweet, everyday texture of her new marriage first that when the war finally crashes into her life, it actually hits like a truck.
洗濯はすみません。 大丈夫でしたか？
Now, we have some super heavy realism here. No waifus, no rom-coms, no miracles to save the day. It's like reading a novel about war. And Studio Mappa nailed the art direction. The voice actors and animators gave their entire soul when doing some of the tragic scenes, and this was so good it swept huge amounts of awards across Japan. If you want a realistic look on how a woman who was estranged from her family and then her husband has to suffer through one of Japan's darkest periods, this is the show for you. Obviously, go with a tissue box in hand.
もしかして今日泊まっていくの？
いや、むしろずっと泊まってくつもりだったけど。
ずっと？
だって結婚したし。
And number one, the one you've probably already seen, NASA's a genius kid with his whole life planned out until he gets hit by a truck trying to talk to a girl he just saw across the street. She saves his life, and when he chases her down afterward to ask her out, she says yes, on one condition, they get married. So when the guy turns 18, she comes in with a marriage certificate and gets straight up married.
ありがとう。パジャマまで買ってくれて。とってもいい感じよ。
When this came out in 2020, people treated it like the second coming of Jesus. We finally had an anime that skipped the will they, won't they, jump straight to married life. The anime mixes comedy with the whole awkward newlywed concept. The art style and character designs were too wholesome, and the back half tackles real married life stuff like jobs and money troubles. 3 seasons are out, so if you haven't watched it, now's the time to give it a go.